Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. My name is Desmond Du. I'm from NoSleepCreative. I have 6 viewers, that's pretty cool. Welcome to my first ever live stream workshop on YouTube. This is all very new to me, very exciting. And yeah, I have some disclaimer before I begin. You might experience some drop frames during this live stream because I'm working on a MacBook Pro 13-inch. It's not very powerful, so you might see like a 5 or 10-second buffer between sometimes the video will be slower. It will be the broadcast is slower, so I might respond to your comments a little bit later. And then let's see, so if everything goes wrong, I guess I can delete the video and pretend it didn't happen. Anyway, some house rules before we begin. You can comment in the live chat if you have any questions, and you can just say anything, show love. And with that, let's begin with introduction. So I have some slides for you guys. So let me just switch to my slides. All right. Okay, let's get ready for this workshop. So here's what we have for today's workshop. And the show content, I'm going to introduce myself. We're going to learn about how to use expression, the really basics. And then we're going to compare it with scriptUI, and other fancy stuff. And then you learn basic JavaScript to get you started, and of course resources and further readings to help you just get better at expression. And also I'm going to do a demonstration at the end of how to recreate some sort of like ripple wave circles from Bug recent work APU. Okay, so about me, my name is Desmond Du. I'm originally from Singapore. My journey in motion design actually started in 2010. And I actually did visual effects. I did diploma in visual effects and motion graphics in Singapore Polytechnic. And shortly after, and then during then, I was able to intern for UCLA, and I had to serve the army for 2 years. And once I got out of the army, right, I worked for a company called Double Negatives for about 4 months. It's a visual effects company, and during that short time, I was able to get certified as an Adobe certified expert in the tree software. So you have to pay for the exam to get certified, and you have to answer like 50 multiple choice questions. It sounds easy, but the questions and answers are like so ambiguously phrased. It's really difficult. So after Double Negative, I got an opportunity to go to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, to do my BFA in motion media design. And then I'm currently at Warner Media Studios, which is known as Turner Studios previously. And it's located in America, the state of Georgia, Atlanta City. And next week will be my last week because I'm going back to school again in the following week for MFA to do my grad studies because I want to be a teacher. So I think many of you guys might ask, like, why do I teach or make tutorials? There's nothing in it for me. I'm not getting paid, or there's no one telling me to do it. I actually, this is actually my hobby. It's something I do during my free time. Over the weekends, and I like to. So the reason why I do what I do is because of my ikigai. So ikigai is like a Japanese, some sort of Japanese concept of like your mission statement. It combines what you love, what the world values, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. So my passion has always been teaching, and in the recent past few months, I did a lot of introspection, and I enjoy helping people, realizing their full potential. I see it as my mission to help people close the gap between where they are to where they want to be. And that's because I love teaching. And if you ask me why I love teaching, which I asked myself several times, and I was able to come up with an answer like a few weeks back. And I think that teaching is some sort of quality of love and kindness. And I like to think that I have a lot of love for the world. That's why I share as much content as I can, because I want to help you guys be as successful as you can. And with that, I want to show you guys my showreel to see what I'm capable of, what I can offer you guys. You might experience some drop frames. So here we go. Awesome. I hope you liked that, my showreel. You can check out my website at doitbetter.com. And let's get into After Effects for the workshop now. So let me just switch to After Effects. Oops, that's my slides. So, okay, here we are in After Effects. I prepare a bunch of composition for you. And we're going to start learning what exactly is an expression. So an expression is like a small piece of JavaScript code that allows you to create kind of like rules for like After Effects or the machine to make complex animation, create rigs, create generative design, automation, and the possibility are endless. And I'm sure you guys are aware of this a common expression called wiggle. So to enter an expression, what you need to do is just hold Option or Alt on the PC and click on the stopwatch. And then, and let's enter our favorite expression, wiggle 20 by 50. And this is something that, oh no, sorry. So this is something that you guys will learn when you guys start out. So what basically a wiggle is kind of like, it just jumps around, like what it says, wiggle. But there's a meaning behind like the parameters that we put. So this 20 and 50, what it means is that the first value that we input into the wiggle function is called is the frequency followed by the amplitude. So frequency is how, so you can think of it as how fast by how much. So if I was to increase it by 200, right, to a value of 200, you can see it's wiggling even faster than before. And if I were to increase the value to 500 for my second one, you can see it's wiggling at a bigger radius now, because that's the amplitude. So it's going to go at like negative 500 in negative 500 pixel in all axis, right? But did you know that you can actually you can make an advanced wiggle by just, let me just change the setting, by typing a few more values. You can type in, if you add in 3 more values at the back, so you want to type in maybe 3, 0.1, time, and then I'm going to just zoom out and I play it. You can notice the wiggle is now, it's more gentle now. And let me just increase the amplitude so you guys can see clearer. You can see it's smooth. And so this is a detailed wiggle. So it's like, yeah, like I say, an advanced wiggle. That's cool. But I'm sure you guys are wondering, like, how do I learn more about expression? It's like a magic code. Well, there's actually a website that documents all the expression, and it's called, and if you go to the website, expression.aenhancer, the link is actually in the description below, so do check it out. And you can look up any expression, syntax in After Effects. So let's just look for wiggle, right? So I look for wiggle, and then I click on it. And then you can see, oh, okay, so first you have the header. The header will tell you this is like the syntax. You're going to add, like I say, frequency, amplitude, and we can add the 3 more value to get a smooth wiggle. And you can see a description. It describes what the function do. And then it also gives some example. So there's a lot, and so there's a lot of things you can learn from this website. I know I don't always memorize expression, and sometimes I get lost and I come back here many times. So think of this as like a Bible for your expression. Okay, so let's get back into After Effects. And so my next thing, so all right, beyond, so you might think that writing expression, you know, when you're creating expression, you might need to write long list of code. It's like, no, sometimes you don't even have to write code. You just need to know how to use the pick whip, right? So it's kind of a hassle to always open up the expression and change it 500, change the value. Let's just say you want it to be faster, or you want it to, you know, wiggle more. We can actually create controls in our effects panel, so we can just control it from here. So we can do so if we go to Effect with our layer selected, of course. We go to Expression Control, and these are all the controls that we can create. So we're going to create a slider control. It's going to give me a single value, and it does nothing. It's like a null layer. This control does nothing on its own. But what you can do now, right, is to, okay, the next thing we want to learn is also creating variables. Because instead of, so let me just demonstrate the slider control. So I can grab my value of 2 right now, and then just, actually no, let me grab 500. And I can pick whip it, right? Pick whip to the slider control. And if I play it, nothing's going to happen because the value currently is set at 0. And if I set it to, increase the value, you can see it's starting to move. See? So it's very nifty because we just created our own effect, and we can just name this. We can rename our slider control by hitting return or enter to frequency. Sorry, that was amplitude. And let's hit Command D to duplicate. Oh, I'm lagging. Looks like you guys should be experiencing some drop frame. Okay, it's working fine a while ago. I don't know why. Okay, so as I was saying, right? We just created our first slider control to change the code that we made, and then we can Command D on the slider control, and then we can just name it frequency now. So I'm just gonna change the value to something lower, so it's not so crazy, like 20. And what you want to do is, select the first value, since we already have the value 2 there, and just pick with it and replace it with the frequency. And then if I play it now, it's going really fast. If I change it to 1, see, look at it, it's slower. Let me just reduce the amplitude. All right, so so you can see it's kind of messy right here. And then instead of like it's okay if you're writing one line of code and you're not gonna change much, that's fine. But if you want to tidy up, you can create a variable. I hope you guys remember your algebra back in school. So a variable, it's so hard to describe what exactly a variable. I'll tell you what it's not. It is not a constant. So you can store value within names. So you can say x is equals to, and then you pick with it to our amplitude. Instead, okay, let's not use x, let's use m. So you can use any word. I believe you cannot start a variable with a number. So it has to be, it has to be like a string. And then let's create another variable called frequency. And I'm gonna pick with it to the slider control. And this is just a tidier way. So I'm just gonna copy m and just paste it in the value over here. And then paste it. Sorry, it has frequency by amplitude. So I'm just gonna copy it and just change it. So it's just a cleaner way of like writing code, because it allows you declare your variable. What we're doing is it's called declaration. So we're kind of like we're grabbing the data, we're importing the data, the slider controls, and then we're feeding it to the function. And if I were to play it now, you can see it's working very well. Okay, so this is the most, like, I guess, the basics of expression, the easiest expression you can probably write, and creating sliding control. But beyond that, you can create a lot more stuff. So see, I have some comps open up for you. So expression are very good for automation. And so you've seen this lower third in my tutorial video. So what's so special about this lower third is that it's a responsive design. So you can see there's an animation coming in based on the length of the bar, and then it reviews the lower third. So the thing about when you're versioning out lower thirds, it's like, because of the length of the names or the position, you need to resize it, and then you need to manually move the keyframes. But in my case, if I were to just type anything here, you can see it automatically extends. If I just change it to magic shortcut, that does everything. So I have a threshold. I mean, no lower third should be this long. So you can see it automatically size for us. And then notice that the animation also updates as well. You see, it reaches that this is the end because of length. And let me just, if I were to just reduce the text, you can see it's updating as well. And then there's no keyframe here. Let me just unshine my layers and show you my setup over here. All right. Okay, I'm gonna press U, and well, the keyframe is not really meant for the lower third. It's meant for like something else. But I have like minimal keyframes on this setup. I guess only 4 keyframes, and this is gonna save you a lot of time. So besides being efficient with in After Effects, right? You can also make some generative design, some abstract like sacred geometry. So this is another setup that I built. It's just using one shape layer and repeater. On the left hand side, in my effects and preset panel, these are just all my all the controls I created. So these are all slider controls, color control, checkbox control. Now, so with this setup over here, I can increase the size. I think I'm lagging. Okay, so my After Effects it's behaving a bit slow. It's a little bit too much to do After Effects and stream at the same time. So let me just put it in the middle here. And if I increase the size, see, I can increase the size using my slider control. I can space out the circle to create some other shape. I can increase the number of copies, and I can even reduce the copies. So I get something like this. Pretty cool, right? And then, ooh, beyond that, you can also make some more generative design. So this is a random shape generator. I give it a color palette, I give it 3 shapes, and to randomize. So if I were to just change the seed number, this slider control, it's going to generate a new design for me. Different colors, different shapes for each tile. So there's a lot you can do with expression. And I think the last one there will be I have 2 more to show you. So this is a responsive design, a setup that I made. So as you can see, when this square move, right, it hits the tile, it's just gonna hide it. And so you can make some art. So this is stuff that you can automate. And the last one I think will be interesting to you because it's very common in motion design is like this effector effect, like you see in Cinema 4D. And again, it's something you can build. You can build in After Effects. And this is similar to what we'll be making today. So I just want to show you the possibility. Oh, thanks, Daryl. Thanks, guys, for the positive comments. All right, nice. So, and then you'll be asking like, all right, expression is cool, but what about animation plugins? What about scripts? What about scriptUI? What about extensions? You know, there's so much things. So an animation preset, I'm going to create a new composition. An animation preset is a template. As I say, it's a preset that can store properties and values. It can even store expression too. So let's just say, let me just show you one of my workflow. I usually create an empty shape layer. And then I like to go to, so you can go to apply animation preset by apply animation preset. And then I hope it doesn't crash. And I have a bunch of like animation preset library that I built. And I use this a lot. Instead of using the shape layer right directly from After Effects from the tool panel, I like to create my own circle with all the controls on the left hand side. So I can control the size of the circle, you know, from the effects and preset panel, increase the stroke, turn off the stroke. I hate going to up here and changing it. I can change the fill from here, can turn on the stroke as well, change the colors, right? So it just saves me a lot of time just to have this setup. And if I press EE, you can see all my expression. And it seems complicated, but again, you know, I just pick width and I just add the value. That's it. It's not that much. So this is an animation preset. Now a script on the other hand, think of it as a series of instructions that we're telling After Effects to do. It's like a cooking recipe. It's like, so let's, for example, I can use a script to tile layers, right? So this was, I didn't manually like move the layers. I use a script. So how we use, so let me just demonstrate how it works, how we can tile this layers easily with just a few clicks. So I'm just gonna grab my assets, which is all these images, and just put it into a composition, single composition, and I'm not going to sequence layer. I'm going to click OK. So all my images are here, and to run the script, you can go to File, Script, and then you can run the script file. And then I'm going to find my script. So I also have a bunch of script that I wrote. So I am, oh, this is the wrong place. So the script that I wrote is, I call it tilecom. So if I'm going to double click on this, and see, instantly it just tiled it for me. And what it does is that it creates 2 null layers, right? One of the control, and it allows me to specify how many columns I want. And if I were to change the size of the com, notice it follows as well. It sizes accordingly. Yeah, so this is very good when I'm just preparing my carousel. I'm like checking like if the design is consistent. Yeah, so that's what a script can do. It just basically, it can insert expression, it can move properties, it can create layers, create new null objects. So you're basically telling After Effects to do a series of tasks within like milliseconds or maybe just a second. So that's a script. And then beyond the script, so script is also written in JavaScript. So if you know expression, you can write a bit of script. Learning curve can be quite steep, but I assure you it's definitely possible to be self-taught because I just watched tutorial and I was able to write my own script. And beyond script, you have scriptUI. So scriptUI, as it says, is basically a script but with a UI. And so some scriptUI that you might be familiar with would be what's that? It's to access a scriptUI, you can go to Window, and then you can go over here at the bottom. So I have a bunch of scriptUI over here. So one of a very common script that you guys might be aware of is Ray Dynamic Color. And then it's just going to open up a panel over here. So scriptUI give you like some sort of UI, a user interface to kind of change setting. So Ray Dynamic Color allows you to load color palettes, ASC file, and also export them, and also just seamlessly apply colors, apply from your color palette. See, I'm just selecting my layer and just selecting my color palette. I can change it very easily. So that's very handy, and you can even edit it. If I want more color palette, I can just duplicate the color and then change it to orange, and then I can reload my palette and you can see it appear right here. So that's the power of scriptUI. I believe Duik and what's the other one? Rubber Hose is also a scriptUI that you can buy from a script. And then we come to our final, the final thing, which is so what about extension then? Extension, which can be accessed by going to Window, Extension, and extension is kind of like also based in JavaScript, I believe, but it has more functionality. It's much more powerful than a scriptUI or a script. So one common one is Flow, and I'm sure you guys have seen Flow in action. And so basically, I need to connect to my remote license, right? This always happens. So give me a sec. And okay, cool. All right, so I have this panel over here, right? So this is all, it has all the animation curves. So if I were to animate like this ball going from left, right, and going to right after in 2 seconds, something like that. And we usually use easy ease in. So what you can, but then you can just instantly load the select what animation curve that you want, and then it will just apply accordingly. Let's open our graph editor and you can see it for yourself. I'm just gonna double click on it, just change the curve. You can see it updated. You can also like save it out as a preset, so it's very convenient. And so that's this extension. Oh yeah, I missed out plugin. So plugins are like they create pixel. Whatever we've done is kind of like it changes properties, or like it creates it does with more of the former properties, surface level. But plugins are like they generate pixels. So one plugin could be a Deep Glow. One of my favorite plugin is Deep Glow, and you can see basically it just glows, right? Or like Trapcode Particular, Ray Giant, those are plugins because they're written in C++. It's very, if you want to get into it, hopefully it's good. You have some sort of computer science background or degree or diploma. But other than that, you can get by just learning expression, learning scripts, and that's enough to speed up your workflow. And let's see. And so that's the difference between all of them. And I'm gonna go back to my slide, and then so hopefully that wasn't too intimidating for you to kind of learn about the possibility about coding. It can seem like you're venturing into the matrix and you might think that, oh, it's not for me. But well, here's the thing about coding. It's scary because it's like a foreign language. We're just lost in translation. But like I say, I was self-taught and I was able to get good at it just with practice. And we need to develop a mental model of how coding works. We need to learn how to speak to, a robot, how to speak to a machine. They need really specific instructions. So, when let's say this is us on the left-hand side, we're just telling the robot when we're coding or scripting or programming, and we want to tell the robot, all right, animate the ball from left to right. So After Effects is going to be really confused because it's like, where do I begin? You know, what composition? What, you know, what is a ball? Which layer is that? You know, where's the position? What is left or right? Because you know, After Effects handle pixel, so it doesn't really know left or right. It's like a coordinate system. So you got to be really specific. And then so you have to be, so so basically what we did was telling After Effects to do, we're giving missing information to After Effects. You know, as you can see on the left hand side, it doesn't know what's the column name, what's the layer name, don't know what property, don't know what position is, but this is the information that After Effects need. So a better visual model to understand this concept is I have on my desktop this, it's called object model. Okay, so imagine this is After Effects. This is how computer kind of sees, kind of reads data or access data. Okay, imagine this is After Effects console over here, and then this is all my composition. So you want After Effects to go into basically the column that's named animation. All right, they'll go inside, and then after that, I'm just gonna collapse all this layer, and there's 3 layers inside. And then you're gonna tell After Effects, okay, go to the layer that's named ball, and then go into the property group called transform. Sorry, I should uncollapse everything. Go to position, and then go to X. Set a keyframe. So we're setting a keyframe, and set a keyframe at 0 second at 100 pixel, and the second keyframe 1920 at 3 second. So that's how After Effects is like reading data. And you can see, as you can see on the bottom, at the bottom, you can see the path. So it's like After Effects, composition, layer, transform, position, and then the array number. I'm going to explain what an array is in a bit. So yeah, so this is, so this is the information that After Effects need. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing, right? So so I'm going to explain the concept of array. An array is like a series or collection of data. You can think of it as a folder. Basically, it can hold multiple data. So for example, the position property that we always use is an array because it has 2 values, you know, x and y. But the computer doesn't read that. All it reads is position, bracket, square bracket 0, and then that's the computer. When reading data, computer don't start from 1, it reads from 0. So when dealing an array, right, this is when you grab the x position, you need to refer it to, start with the 0. The index number is 0 instead of 1 because computer read from 0. So just remember that. So notice as I move, you know, this ball, right, I'm just splitting the 2 data, x over here, y over here. And of course, an array can have more than 2 data. You can have as much as you want. So that's an array. And let's see, I think that's about it. And we can start with our demonstration. Let me just check. Yeah, yes, I show script. Yes. Okay. Do you guys have any question at this moment? You know, just shout it out on the live chat. I'm gonna move on to our demo. Oh, no problem, Mario. Thank you guys for commenting. All right, so we're gonna make this animation today. So it's from Bug. This is from Bug. This is, I downloaded a video. It's called yeah. So it's this animation. It's a bit slow. Okay, let me just grab my reference scene. All right, so this is, we're gonna make the first 6 second. Okay, it's not playing because my RAM is very weak. I have a comm over here. I'm just gonna use the comm, and you guys can watch the. Let me just change my setup to this. Let me change my setup first. Okay, sorry. So I got a scene. So this is the scene that we're making from Bugs, one of the recent piece, APU, and I was like really intrigued by this ripple wave animation, and I you know, kind of did a master study as usual. And then I realized, you know, it's actually very simple. So I have a bunch of analysis for you guys. So let's begin, and we're gonna analyze how this scene works first, and then I'll break it down, you know, what we're gonna build, and we're gonna build it. Okay, so let's go to analyze the comm. So this is the reference scene, as you can see over here. I'm gonna play it, and Okay, so first we watch the scene. All right. Secondly, I remove the middle element so we can just see the ripple wave. I gotta play it, and you can see, and then so we have less distraction, but still it's still kind of a lot to take in. So that's why I mask it out, right? I mask out one part. I just masked out the left part. I key out the color. I'm just turning it off for you guys. I turn off everything. So this is the original, and I'm just going to first of all, I stencil it. I get rid of the middle, and then I focus on the left hand side, and then I get rid of the colors. Okay, and this is what I observe. So as we play the animation, notice the green circles, right? It's coming in, and then after that, it looks as if it's like pulsing out, which doesn't make sense. But if you play it backwards and you turn on guides, right, you realize that the green balls aren't moving. Oh, let me move my mouse away. Okay, so I'm moving forward. See, the green balls are actually in place and just scaling from 0 to 100 to 0 to 100, then to 0. But in the first few seconds, right? Let me just shiver. In the first few seconds when it begins, it's actually coming in. It's coming in, and then it stops and it scales as it's supposed to be, creating this illusion of that ripple wave. Okay, so here is actually how. So this is the base. This is how it looks. This is how it actually works. It's just a bunch of like evenly spaced out circle being scaled, and the circles are scaling. The rings of circle are scaling. All right. So this is what we're gonna build today. No, actually, this is part of what we're gonna build today. I'm gonna show you my analysis. So what we're gonna build first is, I have a lot of stuff to share, so bear with me. See, let me just close all the comms and play this. Okay, so oh wait, wrong composition. Breakdown. All right, so we're gonna start off by building this rig. It's actually using a shape tool, a circle shape tool, and a repeater. Notice that it's responsibly sizing based on the not responsibly sizing. The number of copies of the circles correspond to the radius of the circle. You know, and I hope you guys remember your trigonometry. We're just gonna find out what's the length of the circle, the circumference, if you remember. It's very simple. Formula just 2 pi r. That's all you need to know. Don't worry. And then once we create this setup, we can create multiple rings. We can create multiple rings like this. Okay. So with one rig, we can build more, and we're gonna run an expression that evenly space them out, so we don't have to manually do it. Right? Notice that as the ring gets bigger, CCF is automatically the copies are automatic. So so I don't need to like manually change them or like just just manually change them. And also notice the color also like automatically put. So if I were to go over here, if I can change it to something else like blue or red, and I can even like just change the color control. Let me just change it to obvious color like RGB. I'm just gonna just shift. See, when I shift the color control effects on my effects and preset panel, I can change the order of my rings. And yeah, and then once we got this built, okay, and we can then use another expression to do that pulsing wave. Okay, and there's actually only about 5 keyframes. No, 5 keyframes. So everything is using an expression to follow this. Okay. And then once we made this ripple animation, we can animate it to scale the whole rig, to scale from close up to something wider. When you combine everything together, you get this ripple animation. Okay, and with that breakdown, let's begin this tutorial. Okay, let me just. All right, so in After Effects, let's create a new composition with Command N. And my After Effects is behaving slowly, and we can create, I guess let's create like 1920 by, actually I'm gonna do 1080, 1920 by 1920, and make it about 6 seconds, and I'm gonna click OK. So the first thing we're gonna do, so for this demo, right, is we're gonna create a shape layer, ellipse tool. I'm gonna double click on ellipse tool, and we can give it a fill. Let's make it red, doesn't matter. change your stroke because we're going to change it later. And then first of all, we want to go add, and then we're going to add in a repeater. And then actually, let's open up ellipse and reduce the ellipse size to something about 100. And then if you go to the repeater, right, I can increase the number of copies. And then based on a transform tool, let me just reduce the position to 0. I'm going to set, okay, I'm going to set the rotation. Let me just zoom in properly. No, I'm still not very used to this setup. So I'm going to set the rotation to maybe 38. Okay, that did not work out with the Mac zoom in. So I'm going to set the rotation to 38. And the anchor point, if I were to change the anchor point, you can see I have this radial arrangement. So that's really cool. So but then there's two things happen. First of all, right, the anchor point is not centered. See, the anchor point is based on the first circle. I don't want that. And wait, let me just change my layout to something else. Yes, like this, so you guys can see it easier. Okay, so we see that the anchor point is not centered. And secondly, it's like if we have to, let's just say we enter 24, we want 20 copies, we have to manually rotate it. That sucks. We want it to be automatically. So we can write an expression. So what we can do is, you know, let's just, first of all, let's just have like evenly spaced circle. So to have the evenly spaced circle, what you can do first is, first of all, we need to find out what's the radius of we need to find the circumference of our circle. So to find the circumference, we find the circumference of the circle and divide it by the size of the ball, and we get evenly spaced circles. So I'm just going to option click on my copies over here and shift this over here. And then first of all, I need my circumference. So circumference, I'm going to call variable c is equals to 2 times the asterisk sign. And I need the pi value, which we can type by typing math.pi. Make sure it's in uppercase. Times, and then I'm going to pick with the data to, where's my radius? So my radius is actually my anchor point, which is the array data, which is the y for the anchor point. Okay, so that will give me my circumference. And then now I just need to take c divided by the size of the ball, which happens to be 100 pixel. And you can see that it's not working because what's going on? Of course, things are going to mess up. Give me a sec. Strange. Math.pi ellipse path.size. Okay, maybe because I didn't add a semicolon. Let me try that. Well, I practiced like yesterday and this morning, and I guess I forget like what to type in. Wait, let me just math.pi content anchor point. Okay. Oh, okay, I get it. I understand why. Because when I grab the size, right, I'm grabbing an array data. I'm grabbing like 2 values. So it needs to be a scalar, which basically I need 1 value. So if I were to just delete this, right, and then just pick with it to, instead of selecting size, I want to select the value. And then it works. Okay, so right now we have like the circle. Okay, I need to readjust my workspace so you guys can see more. Okay, so we have evenly spaced. Sorry, actually, let me restart from scratch. First of all, let's have the circle automatically rotate so it's like in perfect orientation. So we can grab the rotation and then we type in 360 because there's like 360 degree in a circle divided by the number of copies. Okay, so now, right, if I increase the number of copies, I get evenly spaced circle. Yeah, so I should start off with that. And then what we want to do next is like to have that automatic sizing of the circle as it becomes bigger, right? It should has more circles or have less circles. So I can do so by using that circumference formula that I did. So I'm going to option click on copies, C to find the circumference c times math dot pi times pick width it to my radius, which is the anchor point y. All right, got my data, and c divided by pick width it to the size, and you can see it's perfectly arranged. It's like touching each other, but you can see there's like some sort of like shadow over here. That's because the copy is not a whole number, so we got to change it. We got to round it up or round it down. So what we can do is to just use this function called, we can round down a value by typing math.floor and then parentheses, so, and put our calculation within. See, and then it gives me it round down the number for us. So math.floor rounds down the number, math.seal round up the number. Now this has become 26, but I'm gonna just round it down. And so I'm just gonna move this over here and just, yes, you can see now if I increase the size of the anchor point, right, I've automatically this automatic repeater. Okay, and then so now we got this rig set up, but I want it to be centered in in the middle of this circle. So what we can do is just write an expression to the anchor point. Okay, so the expression we're gonna use, I'm gonna go to AE answer. It's called source.rect, and it's when starting out with expression, it's one of the most confusing thing that you can learn. It's very good for lower thirds. So source.rect at time, basically, where is it? Source.rect. There we go. Source.rect at time can return, gives us 4 data: the top coordinates of the top and left coordinates of the layer, and the width and height. So if anything is extending, it'll be captured within this function. So all you need to do is type in source.rect at time dot whatever property that we want. It could be width, it could be width, it could be height, it could be left, it could be top. So let me just show it to you guys, right? So if you do the math, we need the size of the circle and just divide it by 2 to get the center. So we can do so by option clicking on our stopwatch over here. I'm gonna zoom in, and then we create our variable. Never mind, forget zooming in. It's not working the best. We're gonna type in source.rect at time. We're gonna store the function first, so we don't need to type it all the time. And then we need to create an array. We create an array by typing a square bracket. As mentioned previously, all your array must be in square brackets. So now we can grab s dot width, right, comma, divided by 2, s dot height divided by 2. And you can see it's not going to work because, see, it gives you a wrong coordinate. That's because I think sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You have to add in s dot left. You got to start off with the left coordinates first, then you offset it. So s dot left and s dot top plus. And then you can see it's perfectly centered. I'm just going to reset my position. And if I'm gonna open up my settings, my content, and show you that it does automatically lock the center. Open up my repeater. If I go to my transform and I play with my anchor point, see, it's still sizing from the middle. Okay, so right now let's build some controls to kind of automatically effects control. So we don't need to open up our layers. Let me just call this ring. Let's call it R. And I'm gonna add in, go to effect. I'm gonna go into expression control, slider control, and I'm gonna make a couple of slider control. And then the first one I'm gonna call it ball, circle underscore size, and then command D to duplicate it, a control D, and we need another one for the radius of the ring. And the last one, I think that's all we need for now. Okay, so let's grab the circle. Let's grab the size of the circle from the ellipse path. Option click on the size, just pick with it to the slider control. And of course, make sure you change the number. And we can control the size of the size of the circle just from a slider control. We're gonna do the same thing for the anchor point. And I know you guys just want to pick with it to the radius. No, it does not work like that. Okay, remember this is an array, right? So we got to do square bracket 0. We don't want to touch the x, comma, pick width to the slider control. and then square bracket. And of course it doesn't work. Oh wait, right, because it's 0. There you go. Everything can go wrong, will always go wrong. So anyway, we increase the radius right here from the slider control. And now we can proceed to move on with our next setup of to have like multiple rings automatically adjust for it, because you don't want to do this. You don't want to command D and then press S and then you scale it up manually, and the size of the ball is not even the same. We want to do everything automatically using expression. So what we can do first, let's have it automatically space it out. We're gonna create a now layer. Go to new, now, and I'm just gonna call it control for now and load in my slider control. I'm gonna use my effect console to just quickly access effect, and in slider control, so this slider control is gonna be the interval of how the spacing. Let's call it spacing. And I'm just gonna duplicate R. Let me just color my control green. Good practice. Control R and go under open up my effects. So I just need to change the radius. Okay, so how we're gonna change the radius, automatically change the radius, is based on the index number. Every layer has an index number. We're gonna make use of that. So if it start at 1, do nothing. 2, so it's like it's math, it's multiplication. So we're using multiplication table to kind of size the radius procedurally. So I guess I just have to do it to explain to you guys. So like I say, every layer has an index. If you type in just index, right, you can get the layer number. So I type in index, it gave me 2, and then I can even just add 3 if I want to, but that's not the point. So what we want to do is, first of all, we're gonna grab this. So this is our master ring. Let's name this one master. We're gonna grab the data, grab the existing size of our master, and then scale accordingly. So we want to, let's just say, let's just call it S, create a variable. And I'm gonna grab the base. So basically this is the base scale. So I'm gonna open up my radius, and then I'm gonna grab the slider here, okay? And so right now they have the same radius. They're sharing the same radius. Okay, but now I can also, because I have my slider control for the spacing, right? And create a variable called spacing. Go to my now layer, all right, and go back to my expression dialog box. Pick with it to that spacing value. Let me increase it to like 50. And it's always good practice to just put semicolon after each line of code, because computer sometimes they don't understand line break. You need semicolons to kind of end the statement. Okay. So so now we're gonna use the index number, right? We're gonna do some math. So basically, S plus spacing. Okay, if you do S plus spacing, let me just do S plus spacing. Okay, now I can use the slider control to control the spacing, but I want it to be based on the index number, so I can just times index. Okay, so let me just reduce this to 50. Now, if I were to duplicate this ring layer, right, it's gonna resize it like that. So if I go to my control and change my spacing, see, that's very nice. But we still need to refine refine how this thing works. So first of all, let's see. I need to. All right, so we got the spacing of the ball. Okay, give me a sec, guys. So, all right, actually, let me just go back to my control and actually create this base size, the base size of the ring, the base radius, sorry. So the base radius. So I'm gonna actually delete my master and change it back to just delete everything. I'm just gonna make it modification, so it's just easier. Press EE to show expression. And we're just going to go into radius. So you can see I have an error message, and I'm just instead of this radius over here, right, from the original master layer, I'm just going to grab it from that now layer. Oh, sorry, my control over here. Going to, okay, so my base scale will be pick width to the base radius, right? And then if I were to duplicate it, right, I get this equally sizing. So I can just change everything from this control over here, like that. So that's the spacing, and this is the base scale. Okay, so and then another thing to note is that since it's based on index, you want to also make sure that your rings start from the index 1. So you don't want to have this now at the top. You want to have at the bottom. You can see things change, see, because of the index number. And now if I were to change the base radius, yeah, this still works. Okay, cool. Okay, now that we figured this out, right? If I were to duplicate all this, you can see it's automatically spaced it out for us. Now that we've done this, we can start to kind of color it using expression. Let me just name it R1 for now. So I'm going to create a new now object. I call this color. Be sure to put it at the bottom. I'm going to go to effects, expression control, color control, and then I'm just going to load in my tree colors. Okay, I have tree color palette over here, and so I'm just going to duplicate this and then just use my ray dynamic color to load all my colors so things will be faster. Okay, now we're going to use and write an expression to access this this now object color control. So this does nothing, it's just load color. So I'm going to label it green, and I'm going to go into my ring layer 1 and go to effect, and then I'm going to actually now I'm just going to put in fill, put in a fill option, click on color, and again we're going to use the index to reference the color control over here. So we have 3 effects, so we just need to reference any one. So effects also have an index, effect 1, 2, 3. So we just need to kind of alternate it. We need to use a modular operator. Basically, is this like this percentage sign. So what a modular operator basically does is that it gets the remainder of what it can divide. So if you were to divide 1 divided by 3, you know, you get 1/3. And if, how do you say this? So if I were to do 1 mod 3, the answer would be 1. Okay, it gets the remainder. 2 mod 3, it gets the remainder. You know, because 2 can be divided by 3, it gives you 2. 3 mod, mod 3 will give you 0 because it's completely divided. So using this, so with our sequence of layer number, right? 4 mod 3 will give you 1. Will give you 1. And the cycle will keep repeating. But because effects numbers start from 1, not 0, we need to add 1 to each of these numbers. So we can write our expression, right? First of all, we need to find our correct index. My index is equals to index mod 3, and we need plus 1. And now we can pick with the color control, right? But we are going to replace the name of the color control with my index. And then you can see the color change accordingly. And if I was to command D and duplicate it, you can see it's automatically coloring. Because we're basically telling After Effects, you know, go to this now layer. All right, select the first color should be this, the second color should be this, third color should be this, fourth color should be, you know, effect number 1, and it repeats. And you know, if I were to just move this color control, I can, like I said, show previously, I can just change the color like that, right? So yeah, and now I can let me just save this before it crash. Okay, so yeah, we have colored our designs over here, and now we can just optimize the size of the spacing. So we're gonna make it closer. And then the next thing we're going to animate is the size of the balls, the circles. So we can do that by going into, all we need is just 1 layer actually. So I'm going to name this layer master, this time for sure. I'm going to label it red. And we are going to animate a keyframe of the circle size, right? Going from 0, let me solo this layer. Going from 0 to actually about 43 pixel. Okay, let's make it 50. Let's round it up. 50 pixel. Going to 0. And then going into 50. and then going back to 0. Okay, I should have spaced them out better. Let's see. So I'm getting an error message. So that's because it still works. Let me see. Right. Because the number of copies, okay, is size of the ball is 0. Not sure why this is happening. But it seems to work. But now that we animate all the keyframes, I mean, we have all the keyframes, we can actually copy all this property. We don't need to go into animate for each individual of them. We can actually use an expression to stagger the animation. Give me a sec while I try to figure out why this expression is not working very well. Let's see. All right, so not sure why it works, but you know, we're still getting an error message. Hopefully I can think it'll come to me as I proceed, but I'm just going to show you how we can copy this animation to the outer ring. So I'm going to unsolo this layer, right? So we can go to our circle size for our second ring. We can actually delete the rest. We just need another ring somewhere here. Okay, and then what we're gonna do is to go into our our second ring over here. Let's go to R2, so and go to circle size, option click, and first of all we're gonna grab the slider value. So basically doing this just copies the size of the circle size, right? And what we can do now is to type in value at time. So value at time, basically we're getting the value at a specific time, and we can even go in the negative fashion, and we can type in time, and then we need to minus an offset value based on the index. So we got to create a variable. So let's go to our control, and we're going to create a slide control called duration. So this is duration where it ripples out. Okay, and I am going to load that expression. So it's called dir, and then I'm going to pick with it to the slider control. And one thing to note is that after I'm actually this is a frame number that I want to use. I need to convert from, but After Effects only reads time, so I need to change it from frame number to time. So I can use this function called frames to time, right? Let me just actually delete all this. Okay, frames to time, right? To convert my frame number, so it's my duration over here, and then so that's my duration, and then and the offset is based on it's the index number. Oops, index offset is equals to duration time index number. So as it's the layer is it's like if the layer number is more, it's gonna just play a little bit slower. Okay, and if I were to increase my duration to 10 like that, you can see, right? It copies the animation. Actually, let me just grab all this keyframe and put like an easy ease, right? And oh, I know why this is. Okay, I understand why this is happening. That's because in my expression, I'm not supposed to mess with the. Let's see, it's automatically sizing based on the ball size. So the ball size must be a fixed constant. So I need to create a variable under, I guess, under control. Let me just duplicate one of this slider and call it ball. Okay, circle size. Circle size. And then, so let's actually go into the circle. Okay, so over here, the base size. So the base size that we feed in just now with our expression to automatically add more copies, it needs to be this value. Instead, we shouldn't use the size of the ball because it's always changing. So we need to use a constant value. So I'm going to pick with this value to my control layer, the circle size. Okay, and I'm just going to grab this, pick with it. Sorry guys, you know, I can't remember everything. There we go. And then it works. So I can copy this expression over here and also do the same thing for the size of the ball. Let's see, for the size of the ball, which is over here, yes, copy, and that should solve the problem. Yes, cool. So now, because the size of the ball I think was about 50 pixel, let's go to my control over here and just increase it to, yeah, about like this size. Yes, cool. Glad I got that solved. Let's duplicate it. Okay, now it's not working. Right. Gotta troubleshoot again. So let's see what seems to be the problem. So the circle size is correct. It's just the radius, the base radius. Wait, let me go to my scale. Circle size is correct. Spacing seems to work, but it doesn't automatically size it for us. My radius. Wait, but the radius is correct. It's like, oh, okay. Nothing was wrong because I use the expression for the duration. It's actually there. So if I were to go into my control and just reduce the duration, I set to 10 frames, right? If I set it to 0 and then just go to somewhere there. Yeah, there you go. My bad. Haha. So let's resize the base radius to, let's reduce the spacing. Okay, and then we can now Command D. I should probably do a recap after this. All right, Command D to get in all our all our rings. Okay, and then if I were to go into my control and the duration, let's put it about 2 frames, and then we're gonna play it from the start and reduce the resolution to half, and I play it. Ta-da! Okay, that took a bit of effort, but that's how you do it. Thank you for being patient, and I hope I wasn't confusing. Of course, I'm probably gonna do a proper tutorial on this. But yeah, that's cool that I got 18 viewers, and I think we come to the end of the workshop. I hope you guys enjoy it. You guys have any questions, or it's more like how many questions do you guys have? There we go. Okay, so yeah, so that's the end of my first live stream tutorial. I hope I didn't miss anything out. And yeah, oh yes, resources, of course. I gotta show you guys resources. So to learn more about expression, first of all, the resources you can visit is, well, AA Answers. It's like a dictionary, right? Another website that I've been using for years is called Motion Script by Dan Ebert. So he kind of like has like some sort of he has a series of tutorials, written tutorials on like mastering expression, And many people use this as some sort of library too. So you can learn about, let's just say, you can learn about basics. If you just read this is pretty good tutorial or just to start off with. If you want some YouTube channel, you can go to Animalplex. It actually has a course, free, I think some sort of After Effects expression course, so you can watch all this video, and if you understand all of it, you'll be pretty good at it. And then you can also use my expression library on my wiki, which is also in the link in the description below, right? So I kind of it's so hard to memorize expression. I don't do it. That's why I have a wiki and I just dump everything here. So it has all the expression that I commonly use, or I think will forget, like the changing anchor point. If I want to lock anchor point to the middle, left, right, center, wherever. And some of them have GIFs in it, so some of them don't. So because they're pretty obvious. And you can, so yeah, I have a lot of like random opacity expression. Just need to copy and paste. And yeah, so yeah, even wiggle. So you can see this is a different type of wiggle that you can create. And you can, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do in expression. I think just don't get intimidated. Just keep trying. Just keep learning. Keep read more, and you just get, as you just use more expression, you just get good at in no time. Because for me, it's like I'll find a lot of challenge. When I first started, I found a lot of challenges writing expressions. I just don't get it. What the hell am I typing? But one day it's like, I get it. It makes sense in my head now. You slowly develop that mental model or that competency to understand expression or JavaScript, right? And another website you can visit is Creative Cow. So you can, oh, that's the live chat. Creative Cow. So if you go to Creative Cow, and I think you can just type in After Effects, and should just do one more expression. After Effects expression, yeah. So there's a forum, and then so Creative Cow, you can find the answers here. Usually when you Google, people answer expression question here. It seems that it's always Dan Ebert that's answering all the questions. So he's kind of like the god that lives in Creative Cow. Let me see. Let's try this one. See, look at that, Dan Eberts. He's always answering expression question. So yeah, he's your guy. Just if you have questions about, if you have no one to talk to about expression, right, you can at least post on this forum to find some answers. And that's it. That's the end of my tutorial, like for real now. Thank you. Oh wait, someone has a question. Mario, you say, is it important to study JavaScript out of After Effects to know expression, or is it too much? You don't have to. I study expression first, right? Just to, because I need to use it. And then I learned scripting, which is actually based in JavaScript, which enhanced my understanding of expression. My learning is kind of like everywhere. It's not like a linear pathway. It's I use a little bit of expression, all right, and then I watch a tutorial on scripting, and then after that I'm back to expression again, and yeah. So it definitely, honestly, I wouldn't study JavaScript because JavaScript is mostly used for web development, web application. So if you study JavaScript on its own, it is still applicable to After Effects, but After Effects only like use a portion of JavaScript, which is what I think. But what you want to do is kind of know the grammar and syntax of JavaScript and the functions. So like so one good place is go to W3 School. Damn it, W3 School, and let's just say, let me just type in W3 School JavaScript. I can't spell. Okay, W3 School JavaScript. Right, and it has like kind of like, this is basically another dictionary for JavaScript, and some functions are not covered in a enhancer, like over here. For example, if you go into like I think if you like math, like when I type in the math value, if I go into a enhancer, I'm like, what is math.round? I'm not sure if it will show up. See, it doesn't exist, even though this is a part of the JavaScript language. But if you go into W3 School and you go on the math, you can see math.round returns. It has like, this is like the so you can get more information out here about JavaScript itself. You don't need to know all of them. I know there's a lot of stuff over here. You only need like 20% of it, or even 10%. And yeah, so this is also a good place to reference. And I guess I know I'm all over the place. Bear with me, guys. I have all the JavaScript resources for you on my wiki. So if you go to my wiki, also the link is in the description below. The first one, all right, you go to my wiki. This is all the resources to get started with expression. Expression reference, expression tutorial, scripting tutorials, scriptUI tutorials, and then yeah, I try to update it as much as I can. So like I said, W3 School, JR Canasto has some like an Excel sheet filled with like expression as well. It's pretty cool. I think a lot of people use it. You can see on the top right hand corner. It's just me. Okay, usually there's more people. Yeah, there you go. See, there's always people watching this Google Sheet. There's also expression guides as well. You know, this is like, I guess, the manual. You can read it. You know, if you don't know anything, I think this Hands have kind of based it off this PDF. Let's see, what else do we have? Motion script, yes. Animalplex, I talk about it. I forgot what was this. Expression challenge. So, oh yeah, I think this guy also. Oh yeah, this guy did like a mini course on expression, so which is really cool. A lot of like generative design. So I think Motion was saying like you would like a tutorial, you can also visit this. If I can't get to your request in time. So, and then let's see, expression reference. I think that's answer. And then how I learned scripting is I watched this FX PhD course, Introduction to After Effects Scripting. It's very outdated, but I found it like super relevant. The guy who taught it kind of develop help you develop a good foundation. And yeah, this is all the resources I can give you. So the link is in the description below, so please check it out. And yes, so if there's no questions, I look forward to seeing you next time. Please subscribe and like if you haven't. It helps to get the video out to people. And yeah, see you guys.